I graduated high school in 1979, and that would be, 30 years and some months ago. And since then, the last 3 decades of my life have been very different than my parents' lives and fairly different than anyone I grew up with. I left high school with no vision whatsoever. Some of you were innovative. You left high school with a career path. And I have nothing but admiration for that. Some people would put it down. Oh, you've already planned your life out, how boring. I think that's really fantastic, because I had not a damn clue. I left high school only relieved to be done with high school. I hated it. I did not like education because the way it was given to me. I liked learning, but not the way these teachers were ramming it down my throat. So I got out of high school, and my dad gave me the big information as to the future of my life. You're going to join the Navy! I went, no. And trust me, I'm not putting down the Navy. I'm just saying I'm not going to stay in a uniform because I spent all of high school in a uniform. Because you're going to go in the Navy like your stepbrother. My stepbrother was a psychotic. And he got into very bad trouble on the streets of Washington, D.C., and his mother, my stepmother, ex-FBI at the time, had a lot of friends at the Washington, D.C. Police Department who said, Mary Lee, your son is either going to be on a slab with a tag on his toe or in jail. We've seen where this leads. You better pull him off the street or we're going to have to arrest him or we're going to scrape him off the street. We're not kidding. He's heading down a very bad road. We suggest the military. Good way to clean up a young guy. Seems like a nice enough kid, but he's going the wrong way. So my stepbrother got sent into the Navy, and for 4 years he went from San Diego to the Philippines, back and forth on the USS Dixie, and came back a highly disciplined psycho. Where he would sit in my father's living room and spit polish his shoes silently for hours at a time. And I said, no, I don't want that to be for me. And so I tried to go to college. I figured I'll try college. I went to 1 semester at American University, a good school, not good for me. My classmates were not interested in anything seemingly besides marijuana, Stroh's beer, Jackson Browne records, Bruce Springsteen records. Well, I have no problem with either of those wonderful artists, but it was the brown corduroy bell-bottoms and the beer bonging and the beer and the future of that on a student loan. I said, I can't afford this. I won't survive it. I got to go. And so I realized my life was going to be in the minimum wage working world that I knew so well from having 800 jobs in high school. I was one of those people where some people are lazy in the summer. I had 5 jobs making money. I quite enjoyed it. It got me out of my mother's apartment. I was behind a cash register. I was doing things. I found it fascinating. I liked buying my own skateboard, my own bike, my own shoes. I quite enjoyed that freedom. And so the minimum wage working world was not alien to me at that time. And so I went in it full time and got a job at an ice cream store, which any of you can wire the intricacies of scooping ice cream in about 11 minutes. Boom, boom, boom. And the only thing that takes some finesse is putting sprinkles on that without the cone dropping into the sprinkles and being irretrievable. And that is easily, remedied. You get the hang of it. And so about a weekend, I'm bored to death. But I realized this is my life. So I said to the boss, I said, you should let me be a shift manager. It'll keep things interesting. He's like, how dare you? You've been working here for no money for the last 80 hours and 3 days, and you want to be a shift manager? I went, yeah. He said, you work at this job for another 6 weeks and don't screw up and I'll think about it. And I went in there every day, like with a toothbrush, and started polishing all the copper piping. He would come and be like dazzled and blinded at the gleaming surgical length of his store. He's like, who did this? Me and this. Damn it, you're a shift manager. And a few months after that, I said, you should just let me run this place so you can have more fun with the ponies at the track. And he said, here's the keys. Don't burn the place to the ground. And I ended up running this ice cream store for about 20 months. And it's no great feat. You zero out the cash registers at the end of the night. You tally up the money. You walk across the street. You drop the deposit into the bank chute. And you lock up the door. And you go home. And that was it. But I saw my life as this endless version of that. I could quit that job, but another job just like it was waiting for me. And after about a year of that, I said, wow, this life is going to be very difficult for me. And I grimly just said, well, this is it. My life is a Bruce Springsteen song. He wrote, Darkness on the Edge of Town for me, because now I am living it. I love the album. I don't want to live in it, though. I don't want it to be a concept for my life. And right around that time, I heard this band, Black Flag. And I heard one or two songs, and I heard that music and went, oh, finally, someone is as psychotic as I am. Someone has made music that matches the ferocity that I am feeling inside. And they came through Washington, D.C. My best friend since age 12 to now is a man named Ian Mackay, who some of you have heard of. And Ian actually called Black Flag on the phone, and he said, hey, you're coming to town, why don't you stay at my mother's house? And so Black Flag stayed at Ian's mama's house. And I remember me and 50 other punk rockers standing in Ian's mama's living room like, excuse me, Ms. Mackay, is Black Flag down in your basement? And she's like, oh, let's go down there. And I was the lead guy poking them in their little caved-in chest going, remember that time you recorded this song? And I was like the lead pain in the ass. And they suffered me fairly well. And I saw them play on stage, and I was immediately jealous of the singer. I said, that should be me. He has the best job in the world, and I don't think he's singing those songs hard enough. He should die after every single song. That's how that should be done. And so 6 months later, the band comes through the East Coast again, but they don't come to Washington, D.C. They're only going to play as close to me at New York City. I went, no, I must go up there to see them. So I get the day off work, which was a miracle in those days, because now I'm working 6.5 days a week. Many of you had a job like that where you're working way too much for way too little. And so I jumped into my 1968 VW Fastback that still had the dent in the hood from the mace canister that bounced off it as my mom and I had to navigate that VW through one of many of DC's wonderful riots from that year. And so I get to New York, I get into the show, and some band called the Bad Brains opened for Black Flag. It was one of the best nights of your life. And afterwards, I'm hanging out with the band, because they're my buddies now, because I cornered them in Ian's mama's basement months before. And they said, hey, we're playing another show down the street at this bar, because the bar owner said he'll give us like $100, so we're going to do it. Why don't you come and follow us and go down there? Basically, they wanted me to like load their van for them. So I load the van, and I follow them a few blocks down to like 6th and A. And there's a small bar, a small stage. I load in, and it's like 3 in the morning, classic New York night. And I'm looking at my watch. I got to be at work in a few hours, which means 4 hours on the highway, go right to work, take off this shirt, put on a clean one, put my face in the sink, and do 9 hours on my feet saying, here. And so you're young, you can do it. You remember when you were young, you could stay up for 21 hours a day and survive on Snickers bars, top ramen noodles, and dental floss, and survive. And you were fine like that. Me now, not so much. It runs me down. So I said to the band as they're playing away between songs, I said, look, I gotta go. Can you play that song you have about how much it sucks to go to work called Clocked In? And they had a song called Clocked In, about 90 seconds of great, I hate the boss, I want to break the clock. And they said, yeah, this is for Henry because he's got to go to work. It's called Clocked In. And then Des, the singer, looked at me and went, well, you should sing it. And I hopped up on stage, and no one in the audience knew me. They're like, who's that guy? And the guys in the band went, oh, Henry's going to sing it. Well, fine. And so I always had an idea as to how that song should be sung, like, dying through the song, as, head exploding. And so they go into the song, and I did it my way. I kind of knew the lyrics, kind of didn't, but it didn't really matter, because it just kind of shot out of me. And I remember members of the audience going like, whoa, like they're like, this is a bit much. And I remember looking on either side of me, and members of the band going like, well, we're awake now. I mean, this is wild.